You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing. Creator and host, Ken Vellante. Editor and producer, Peter Bauer.
Play was play. July going on. Work in July.
Yeah, it is. We had a little reading of it at the Tank Theatre in March, which went really well. And it was really fun. And now we're like putting it on its feet and probably doing an actualized version at the New York Theatre Festival at the Hudson Guild Theatre in July.
This is great. So everybody's talking about it. They're talking with Annabel McConnachie here on Something Rather Than Nothing. And the play we're talking about, you're going to be performing in July. It's an archive of my own. Tell us about the play. Tell us about this performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a play that I wrote, and then also cast myself in, so I am also in it. And it's a coming of age play, which kind of has like two worlds in it. One world is the world of Glee fan fiction. You've got like characters like Richard Berry, Finn Hudson, all of the characters from Glee, and it's all like verbatim excerpts of fan fiction that I wrote when I was 12. And this like idealized view of love and sex and relationships juxtaposed with the main character in real life, expecting the dating scene to be like that, and then actually getting there and realizing that it's just like drastically different and way more awkward and clumsy and less choreographed.
I love it. Do you do everything? Like, what's your
my hyphenates?
Yeah.
So I went to school, majored in acting, also did like a lot of playwriting classes. So I'd say my like two main things are actor and writer. But I'm interested in a lot of like random stuff. I have like a podcast, so I love like content creation and stuff. Yeah, they're my main hats, but I dabble in some other ones. Like I direct sometimes, stage manage sometimes, stuff like that. But yeah, like the theater industry and like the film industry is my two big loves.
Dang, I find your podcast. Talk about your podcast.
It's a podcast called Sick See You Next Tuesday, that I co-host with my best friend, and it's basically just like a movie review podcast. Sometimes we'll like review the newest movies out. We also have a series where we're just like rewatching every single animated Barbie movie. And sometimes like we'll take a classic film and recast it with actors from now. Like we did one on Psycho, and it was like if it were to be made in 2025, who would be cast in the leads. So just like fun stuff about movies because we're big cinephiles.
I love it. So tell us about were you born an artist, like creating this? And tell us a little bit about your background. You've been in a ton of production, been involved for a long time. Like, is something you always do? You're always an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Australia, and I grew up in Sydney, and I think I was just always like a very theatrical child. My parents were I'm a Leo, and they were like, yeah, that reads, that really Leo shows.
I get it.
Yes. When's your birthday?
August 4th.
That's my birthday.
Oh my gosh, everybody. Here we
are.
That's
crazy.
Then we got birthday date here, both Annabel.
Absolutely. Us and Obama. Crazy lineup for August 4th.
Where the heck is this going to go? Who knows? All right, so August.
Yes, born August 4th. And so I just always had like a lot of creative energy. I'm an only child as well, so I would like always just like have a lot of pent up solo creative energy. I was like very into dolls. I would like make plays with them, and my mom was like, we've got to channel this somewhere normal. So I did a lot of like dance classes and acting classes and singing classes and stuff growing up. And then got like really involved in my local community theatre scene in Sydney.
Yeah.
Did a lot of like musicals. There's this really good pro-am company for like young adults and adults where they'll take on younger people and amateurs, and then they'll cast in the leads professional working Australian actors, which is really, really cool. So you get like
Yeah.
experience working with people who have been in the industry and like making connections and stuff. It's really, really cool. So yeah, I did a lot of that. And then I always just had my heart set on New York. I visited when I was 8, and apparently I said to my mom, like, I'm going to move here one day. This is going to be it. And she
Yeah.
was like, sure, okay, we'll see. And then I just never let that go. It wasn't a phase. I really clung on to that. So
What was it? What is it? What was it?
I went to see The Lion King.
Ah,
And I went to see Mary Poppins,
yeah.
and I loved it. I was like, I want to do that, and I want to do that here. I just really had my heart set on it. I think also there's a lot of stimulation in New York, like in terms of just Times Square. There's a lot of lights, there's a lot of
Love it.
things going on, a lot of sensory overload, and I really ate that up as a kid. I was like, I want to be there. I want to be in the bright lights of New York City. So when it came time for applying to colleges and stuff after I graduated high school, I did a couple of short courses in Sydney because moving across the world is a big transition. But I still just like couldn't get rid of that New York bug. Applied to stuff over here. And then I attended the New School, which was great. I loved that.
Oh, the new school. What a great place.
Yeah, it was great. I love all of the teachers there are so good. They're also like working in the industry and stuff, so they're like doing plays on weekends and immersing themselves in the theater industry here and then coming and teaching us, and I felt like really lucky to be a part of that. I made some great friends, made some great connections. And that's my journey from Sydney to now.
Yeah, that New York City thing and the energy there, and I like quiet as well, but there's something about spectacle, particularly around
For sure.
the district there.
It's crazy. The New York City never sleeps saying is apt. It's accurate. It's very buzzy. Sometimes I do agree, like it can get exhausting. It's a lot. But I really love that like artistic stimulation. There's like always something going on. There are lots of different artistic pockets, so you'll never get bored. And there's like a lot of artistic variety, which is really, really cool. There's like a lot of like mainstream theater, fringe shows, everything in between.
Yeah, one of the treats I've had is on the podcast to be able to connect to maybe art forms I haven't practiced around as much, including theater. And it's been such a lovely experience to learn about how it happens and the immediacy and temporality of this. I was listening to the podcast Economics.
Yeah.
3-4 part series. It's like, is theater dead? Well, it's not. Why not? And what's happening in the industry? They kind of follow the thread of the play being performed. It was just really fascinating about what is this strange thing that we do with theater nowadays with, you can stream, you can do this. Now, how do you get live people and live performance? What does it mean right now? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So, just in terms of like theater started very classically. There was like the Freytag pyramid, like the 5-act structure, and everyone stuck to that. And now it's just so many doors have been opened, and the definition of theater is just like constantly evolving, and there's like not one thing pinned down, which is really cool. I got to see the Picture of Dorian Gray last week. I got rush tickets. I woke up at 6 a.m. And it was insane. I was blown away. I'd only heard good things, but I don't know. I wasn't skeptical, but I was like, maybe it's overrated. But it's not. As a piece of theater, it's so cool. One woman, Sarah Snook, does everything in it. She plays 46 roles or something like that. And it's a combination of a pre-record that she made in 2013, because she's been doing this for 2 years now, of some of the different characters and voices and whatever, and also her changing and transitioning between characters on stage. So it's her acting opposite a pre-record of herself and then playing these 46 different characters. Like, it's crazy. It's the acting challenge of a lifetime. And I'm just like, that's so cool. Like, the more multimedia that you can involve in theater now, it's kind of like blurring the lines between theater and film. And yeah, I just think like the opportunities are endless. Anything can be theater.
Great. I want to get into conceptual questions, but before we do that, right, so it's July. Folks are in the theater, Archive of Biome,
Yes.
Star. What do we start off? What do you want people to see and start to experience?
Absolutely. So in terms of what I want them to experience, that's up to them. I mean, my goal is for everyone to come in and have a good time. It is a comedy. It's definitely like a female driven kind of shining a light on the uncomfortable aspects of sex from the female perspective as influenced by like crazy idealistic fan fiction. as influenced by Glee, yeah. So I definitely want people to just like have fun. It's campy and fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. But also weirdly, what I've come across talking to people about it, a lot of people I know were like, yeah, I read a lot of fan fiction growing up, and then I got into the real world and said, what is this? This is nothing like what I read about. I kind of feel like I was gaslit and lied to. I was set up for something that is just completely different. So it's kind of universal in a sense that like media sets us up for one thing and then the reality is just nothing like it. But there isn't a ton of media about like the influence that fan fiction has had on a generation. So I think it's like a specific take for something that's universal.
Well, in the fan fiction universes, you find like these whole breathing cultures of like talented folks and like repositioning things. You know, just a lot of playing, and it has the same characteristics of like anything else you do, like for an artist, like obsession, or like
Mm-hmm.
for meaning, being like idealization and such. But when we look at fan culture and like what's created there and its influence, I was thinking about this weird. It's the question we bounce into is like when you come on a like, or you growing up, how do you learn like how humans interact with each other, including romance, sex, things like that? And then when you look at culture as a whole, you don't think, at least I didn't think overtly, like, are the actors there or how I'm supposed to behave? But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the weird question of what's it like looking at, relationships, dating. I grew up in the 80s. Like, I look at some of those movies, that's like messed up. Like, all the,
Yeah.
dynamics between men and women, very gender dichotomy, like all that traditional. And did you end up being worried or disturbed about like the creation of the idealization, or was that just the source for the comedy, or both?
Totally. No, absolutely. It's like I feel like media tells you like so many different conflicting things, right? So like sometimes like you've got movies, especially like I love an 80s movie. And they like definitely like the dynamics like you were saying, there's sometimes like toxic power dynamics or yeah, stuff like that. So that's the scary version, like maybe it's gonna be like that. And then I feel like some female written fan fiction that I read that's also all written by 12-year-olds. So like no one knows what they're talking about. Um is kind of like a reaction to that. And is like, and sex is so easy and great and it doesn't hurt at all and it's all on the woman's terms. Um so it's just like completely the opposite and also not true. So it's like I don't know what is the best thing to consume and what expectations they're supposed to set. Like it's just basically like grappling with, well, none of this is true and I don't know how to feel.
All right, well, let's get into the conceptual. Maybe we could try answers. And Annabel McConnachie and or both Saint Birthday and Leos. We're not arguing. We're not trying. We're not trying
Yeah.
to carve out our space. Two Leos seats.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna be two harmonious Leos today.
So funny. All
That's
right.
crazy.
I was asking about some of your background and your contact with art, but what is art? What do you think art is?
That's such a good question. Um, I feel like art is the externalization in whatever medium or form you choose of just like something that you want to say. I feel like if you have something that you want to say and you manage to put that like onto paper, on a canvas, on a stage, on a page, that is art. It's just kind of like how you produce your feelings or thoughts or perspectives.
I love it.
Thank you.
On the like when we think about plays
Mhm.
and uh, thinking about some of the things that you mentioned as far as maybe multimedia coming into theater, different aspects, um, non-traditional and such. Do you see theater as being able to take in those elements and kind of like evolve its next form, or is there a traditionalism that should be adhered to for continuing?
Um, I absolutely believe in bringing in like as many fun and creative aspects as possible. I in school we like learned about the structure of all the like traditional theater, and I think it's like you need to know the mold in order to break the mold. So like the traditional aspects definitely, of course, valid, great, incredible building blocks, incredible foundation, but also like we don't need to gatekeep theater and make it all. I think sometimes there's like a classism to that where it's like it needs to be
Sure.
this traditional theater and it needs to be on a Broadway stage and it needs to be Shakespeare. But that's not accessible to everyone. I think like what you have access to and what like creative little wacky ideas you have, if you could infuse them in any way and in any way that hasn't been done before, all are welcome.
Yeah. What do you think the role of art is? Or let's say theater right now,
Mm-hmm.
2025. If I ask questions like world feels like it does right now. Is there
Yeah.
anything different now about like what theater should be doing or like its role in society now?
Absolutely. I think that theater can be really important in terms of capturing either like the current climate or capturing like dystopian theater, as acting as a warning for like what things could become if we continue on this track or continue on a different track. So I definitely think it's like really vital in those aspects. And then there's also theater that is purely to entertain and distract and alleviate insane stress about like what may be going on outside and act as a form of escapism from everything else. So I think that both are like really valid and really great, and that sometimes theater can be like really educational and didactic, and sometimes theater can totally just be a form of escapism and alleviation from crazy stress.
Yeah. Um, something about watching people act and things and kind of sort through it. It's like that kind of ritual of drama almost or comedy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely feel like watching people's performances is so powerful and so inspirational. I think as an actor it's really inspirational. To like see someone go on a journey is yeah, it's like they get to experience every emotion sometimes so you don't have to. They work through your stuff for you.
Yeah.
It's like a therapeutic.
You worked in some film. You worked on film. Any like, I mean, do you like really desire, theater performance, or there's something about film that draws you?
I really love both. This is like my Sophie's choice. It's very tough. Um I especially like consume as a consumer, I probably consume more movies than I consume theater because of the accessibility of it. I love both mediums, and honestly, it's hard. I think I might be in a little theater phase at the moment. Just because I've been really, every like thought and creative inspiration I've been having has really been more like play leaning, but sometimes I then completely switch up modes and I'm more film leaning. Like actually I wrote a short film and I'm filming it next month.
Tell us.
Yes, it's called Smokehouse and Mirrors. It started as a short play that I wrote when I was in college, and now I'm switching up the medium. And it's about a girl who was in love with this guy, has been in love with this guy for ages, and finally her dream has come true. He's asked her out, and he asked her out to his family's steakhouse, except she's a vegetarian. So the
Good
film
sound
takes
bars there.
So unfortunately, this doesn't occur to her. She, instead of maybe ordering a salad and being normal, she says, "Well, I've got to assimilate. The steaks are through the steaks are through the roof, and I in fact have to order a steak. I need him to really think that I fit in this environment." And then the steak becomes sentient and becomes like a manifestation of her guilty conscience, and they kind of hash it out in this steakhouse, and that's the plot of the film.
I think you got something there.
Thank you.
I've been vegan for 30 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I love that. I've had a lot of guests on. I love short films. Some such great directors. I'm really excited to hopefully see that for you.
Yeah.
I want to get some of the details about this play coming up in July for your radio and the interview.
Mhm.
Tell folks they want to see it, want to spread the word about it, the play itself. Like, where do they go? They learn more about you, get tickets.
Absolutely. So tickets are currently on sale. It will be a part of the New York Theatre Festival, so they're available on their website. And also, if you go to the Archive of My Own Play Instagram at Archive of My Own Play, there's a link in bio to like ticket information, ticket links, a little synopsis about the play, and then also like clips of stuff from the reading, so you can get a vibe and get a gist of what it's about.
How long is the festival? What goes on during the festival?
The festival's 3 months, and there's a lot of different shows going up, and then on August 5th, there's going to be an awards ceremony where like different shows are recognized in different categories.
What I have one big conceptual question as well. We've been jumping around, which is
Yes.
the show is. I don't know if you thought too much about why is there something rather than nothing.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
Yeah.
That's I expected this question.
Yeah.
I felt this one coming.
I know.
The titular question.
Yeah.
I think because like what's the alternative? If we just have a life full of nothing, then like what's there to do?
Yeah.
I don't think that serves anyone. So I think we create something and we create meaning just so that we have some kind of semblance of purpose. Otherwise, like if we have nothing going on and no motivation, we crumble.
Yeah.
We need something to keep us going.
Yeah. No, I dig that. It's within philosophy and art. I think about always with artists, like, does the individual in some real way create a whole new thing, out of some other place? But obviously, with the question, what about where to find your podcast? I love people talking about
Yes.
movies.
Absolutely. So it is at 6 Next Tuesday on Instagram or 6 Next Tuesday on Spotify. Yeah, that's where you can find us. On Instagram, we'll post like little reels and clips from the podcast again, so you could like get a gist of what the episode's like and what it's about. And if you want to tune in, and then on Spotify is where we have all of the episodes, and also YouTube. We film it and pop a little video
Oh,
version
you
on
got
YouTube.
video too.
Yeah, on Thursdays. So Tuesdays the podcast drops as per the title, and then Thursdays we've got the video version.
Oh, that's great. Great, great work. It's been really nice to meet you. And before I let you go, and I've had connections to Australia through the show and such, and um, big differences that you experience as far as kind of like work, within theater or art in Australia, popped into the Glory Theater, the Belly to Beast in New York. Like,
Mhm.
what's been your experience as an artist to create?
Absolutely. I think in terms of like artistic opportunities and funding and stuff like that, the thing like Australia v America or like New York v Sydney, New York just has like, because the population's so big, there are so
Sure.
many more opportunities, which I found like really great. Like there's so many like free playwriting competitions that you can submit to and then your play can go up. But also I think Sydney has like a very like small but very hardworking theater community who all know each other. So that like feeling of family and togetherness and like everyone trying to help build each other up is also like really important. And I like love my foundation there as well. So like my long-term goal would be to be like a multi-country artist and be able to do work there and also work here. Because I think both scenes are great. Both scenes are very different. I think Sydney like loves an independent theater scene and loves a drama. They also love a Shakespeare. So it's like very classic, more serious theater over there on the whole. Whereas New York, there's definitely like a fringe camp kind of vibe. So both very different, but both very fun. And I my heart is in both.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the peek in, everybody. Annabel McConnachie, our copy of my own. I'm very excited for you. Really
Thank
excited
you.
to chat with you, thinking about the summer. They finish up about a week before your birthday.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the award ceremony is the day after our birthday, so it's a very
Jeez,
exciting time.
absolutely incredible. But I hope to come in contact with the work. It's like the thing with hopefully someday, like live, the performance, the show,
That would be
and
incredible.
yeah. Best of luck to production, everybody. I
Thank you
got a
so
lot of
much.
listeners in New York City and environs, New York Theater Festival, Hudson Guild Eve Theater. Um, and it's been a great pleasure to meet you and
So
chat.
lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. I get to put your podcast. I somehow missed out with my crack research team.
And that's okay because my name is not in the title.
Okay. My research team is me, the left D&B. What the heck was I supposed to check?
Similarly, my podcast research team is also me, but mainly my co-host. He does most of the work.
I get to ask, well, why is it something rather than nothing and have that awkward style? But I've done more than that. So,
Yes, you have.
Annabel, great pleasure to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Best of luck with the play. Expect to see a lot more of you.
Thank you so much.
This is Something Rather Than Nothing.
And listeners, to stay connected with us and our guests, visit somethingratherthannothing.com. Join our mailing list for exclusive updates and access to guest-created art. If you enjoyed this episode or any episode, please like, subscribe, leave a review on your podcast platform. People really read that shit. Your support helps us reach more listeners and spread our community across the planet. This is a global show, and we like to give a shout out to our many listeners across the world, including many listeners in Canada, Spain, Germany, UK, Argentina, Brazil, India, Thailand, and so many more places. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Something Rather Than Nothing Podcast for behind the scenes content. And the best way to help the show is to tell your friends about us. If you love it, they'll love it too. Tell your friends who love it. We love you. This is Something Rather Than Nothing Podcast.